when England lost in the Euros, you know...
Did he give it?
Yeah, and I think a lot of Scottish people were buzzing with the result. But we English people, we don't really do the same back. So nice to have a little jab at Ali, but...
So there's a bit of needle already between you two. This is going to be
Brazil's getting it as well. Brazil is getting it as well.
Gabster. Hey, I'm your biggest ally, my friend.
Ali, what happened though, Ali? Honestly, mate, I was watching the game, Ali, and I was like... They froze, didn't they, Scotland? Like
couldn't get near them, mate.
Yeah, it was like watching like Brazil at times. Yeah. Like they were popping it, they were dinking it over Scotland midfield's heads and back heels. Zinchenko looked like a world beater, didn't he? He was unbelievable.
Really did. I thought he was superb, Gab.
Yeah.
I thought he was the best player in the park by some distance. I just thought technically and tactically they were too good for us, mate. They were clever in their movement. The two boys dropped off. I was saying early on, the boy on the left, Shkankov, and Yarmolenko on the right dropped off, and they created numbers in the middle of the park.
That first goal must have been so frustrating, for a manager watching. No pressure on the ball, and you're letting the player just run off, and he's not even a quick player. Yarmolenko. Do you know what I mean?
Do you know what he does? Cooper gets caught out of position. Cooper's a yard too far forward, and then Robertson steps out to try and play him offside, and he's clearly onside because Hanley's a yard back. From their point of view, obviously it's a great pass and a superb finish. Scottish point of view, defensively all over the place, mate.
Yeah.
Before we hear from Andy Robertson, because he's given us his post-match reaction, I just want to read you a text that we got earlier on. Scotland were rubbish and they lost to one of the worst teams in the world. Stop making excuses for rubbish players.
That's a ridiculous statement. Absolutely ridiculous statement. I mean, a team that, did they get to quarter-finals? England knocked them at the quarter-finals of the Euros. They went through their own qualifying campaign undefeated. France couldn't beat them home or away. So I would disregard.
They were very comfortable, wasn't they, Ali? Playing from the back.
Last statement.
Little 1-2s, very comfortable as a team. But
they were good.
I feel that if Scotland played to their maximum, they would have beat them. But a lot of players didn't turn up. I thought Gilmour kept giving the ball away. Dykes.
Andy Robertson's deliveries wasn't best
great.
At times.
Dykes and Adam didn't work as a two. I feel like you were better when Armstrong come on. So maybe the tactics of two strikers wasn't right. Hanley didn't look like he was at the level, the number 9 giving him a run around, Ali. So I don't know, I just feel that Scotland froze, especially in the first 60 minutes. So disappointing.
As I mentioned, let's hear from the Scotland captain then, Andy Robertson, who said that despite the loss, the team are going in the right direction.
We have to let ourselves feel disappointed, of course we do, and then tomorrow fully focused. But we're building something here. I believe sometimes you need to take bumps in the road, and tonight's certainly a huge one. But we've already been to one and we have to try and get to another. So obviously the Nations League was the way in last time for the Euros, and that starts next week. So we need to be ready for that, and then we need to be ready for the Euro campaign. We had a really good campaign this time round that secured the playoff, but the playoff game we weren't good enough, unfortunately.
Do you agree with what he says there, Robertson, Gabby?
Yeah, and I think he was honest. I heard him last night, he said that we didn't turn up, and that's honest. The players that Scotland had on that pitch, I felt was good enough to get the result, but they froze at times. And it was disappointing second half, Ali, when the fans looked like they'd given up, because the players couldn't get near anyone. I could hear you on commentary, Ali. Yep. You were saying they can't get near anyone. They were popping it like a keep ball session, Ukraine at times, and the fans were trying, weren't they, to give them a helping hand. But when they're seeing that they're sitting back and they're not throwing players forward to press, it was just a sad way for Scotland to go out.
But it's not the first time they've been in a playoff. Obviously, they got to the Euros because of the playoffs. So why, Ali, would they have frozen, as Gabby suggested?
There's a number of things. I think Gabby's spot on. The first thing you got to say, we're beaten by a far better team, right? Who dominated the ball and dominated possession. So we didn't have enough a possession of the ball. And again, Gabby's right. We didn't do enough without the ball to get the ball back in terms of being aggressive in our pursuit of closing down and getting the ball back. But just as importantly as that, we have got a far better standard and quality of player now. We've seen it before. We've got guys that are comfortable on the ball, can pass the ball, can defend, can attack. But generally speaking, none of them played to anything like the potential. I mean, we're giving the ball away in areas which we wouldn't do before. We Billy's comfy on the ball. McGregor can pass the ball. Christie can pass the ball. John McGinn can pass the ball. But A, we didn't have it enough, and B, when we did have it, we just weren't good enough.
But Ali, I said it yesterday, didn't I, that when a team like Ukraine, what they're going through as a country, they're gonna want it more, and they're fighting for their country. Like I said yesterday about the Usyk Joshua fight, Usyk's going to be fighting for his country, so for me, he's going to win even better against Joshua. So yesterday, they looked like a team possessed, didn't they? Look at Zinchenko, he was everywhere. He was like doing everything in that game to drag his team through. Yarmolenko, he was doing things that I'm not seeing him do at West Ham. Like, they were a team possessed and deserved the win.
You talk about what's obviously been going on in Ukraine, and actually Ukrainian midfielder Ruslan Malinovsky was speaking after the game and revealed the messages that he had received prior to kick-off.
Of course, a lot of messages we had from the soldiers, from the civilian, normal people, from the friends which are on the board now to protect our country. And we know for what we play today. And we said before the game that, guys, we need to give maximum, and in the end we will see we win or we lose. But first of all, we need to give everything on the pitch today.
I mean, it's incredible what they did last night. Not only to win, but their performance in general was just brilliant. And when you consider a lot of their players do play in some of the big leagues and for some of the big clubs, but there are some that play in Ukraine that weren't able to play. And so for them to have come together and put in a performance like that, I just think is absolutely phenomenal. And we spoke about it earlier, need to be lauded about that. And emotion, clearly, like you just alluded to there, maybe was an inspiration for
100%.
them.
And in the first 10 minutes, look at the bookings they got, Ali, the fouls they were making. They looked like a team that were up for it, but they were probably thinking to themselves, we're beating anyone today. Put anyone in front of us and we're beating them. The way we feel, the emotions that they were playing with. And you look at Sunday, Ali, you've got to put Ukraine as favourites. I would, because they look determined, and even like the last 5 minutes, the players they're throwing forward to get the third goal as well. So you've got to give them credit. And yes, it's heartbreak for Scotland, but the celebrations afterwards, you couldn't feel anything against Ukraine.
100%. I wish them all the best. And we can talk about the emotion of the situation. We can talk about how the Ukrainian lads responded to it. But what we can't forget is they're a good team.
Yeah.
They went through their campaign undefeated. I mean, France couldn't beat them home or away.
Yeah.
They're undefeated in the campaign. I think they've had, I'll check, I've got it written down, I'll go and get it. Doing my notes last night. They've lost something like one game, I think, in the last 16, and that was against England at the Euros. So, is this really a big shock or a big surprise?
Yeah.
No, it might be a big shock or a big surprise that Scotland didn't play better, but is the result a big shock? No, it's not.
Shouldn't have been underestimated.
Yes.
No, definitely.
Clearly.
Do you think they look more organised as well, Ali?
I thought they were very well organised. They had a game plan, Gab, that was superb. As I say, the two wide boys dropping back into the area, and the left full-back, Mikolenko, and Garaviev on the right-hand side getting forward, gave them extra bodies, and I thought they dominated possession.
So the wait for the World Cup football for Scotland goes on. 1998, the last time they qualified for the World Cup finals.